guys, so we are going to do a full coverage get ready with me video today. I've already cleansed my skin, I've already applied my primer, made sure that that's settled in and applied it wherever I want. So now I'm going to go ahead and correct my skin before I go on with my foundation. I use the NYX HD green concealer to do correcting. I do have some blemishes and they are kind of red and a little raw still, so I want to kind of take care of that before I go ahead and apply my foundation. I'm going to use it straight from the tube since it is mine, and I am going to apply it. I'm just going to dot it on the areas that I want that extra, that I want to, not conceal, that I want to neutralize. So I'm going to now use my clean finger and tap it on. Now, if you are unaware of why I'm using a green concealer to cover these red blemishes, then I definitely need to make a video in regards to color correcting and the magic that it is color correcting. Anywho, so I'm just using my finger to tap it slowly into my skin. I don't want to rub it off. I want it to neutralize that red color, which is what the green concealer does. Anywho, so now I'm going to go and I'm going to use my beauty blender, which I already have nice and wet, and I'm gonna go with my favorite foundation, which is a drugstore foundation right now, and it's the Maybelline Fit Me, and I am in 228-ish. I have quite a few other colors that I use to mix in to kind of match my skin tone. So I'm gonna go with this. I'm gonna take a little bit of those. I'm just gonna pop them. I generally just, depending on my mood, I'll tap it in, dot it around my skin, and I'll start working in it. And because this is a buildable foundation, I kind of start with a thin layer and then see where, if I need more coverage or if I want more coverage. And like I said, this is going to be a full coverage, so we're going to go a little ham on it. You always want to start in layers when it comes to foundations, especially if you're building one. Regardless of if it's buildable or not, you just want to always start with a thin layer first and then apply as needed and depending where you go. So I'm going to go there. You don't want to like gloop on your foundation, and then it can cause cakiness, and you don't want that. I ain't about that life. So the only thing that I wish about this foundation that it came in a pump, because I hate having to do this. Other than that, it's definitely one of my favorite. I have used quite a lot of different drugstore foundations, and honestly, I guess there's a lot of factors that determine whether or not foundation is going to work for you. I have combination skin, and this is for combination skin, so this is something that definitely works for my skin tone. But I have also used dewy foundations, which are not sometimes upfront to someone that has like oily skin, and you can still kind of find ways to make it work. It's honestly about the process and the steps that you take to prepare your skin and the steps after to kind of set all that makeup in. So I'm going to continue. I'm going to go look down here because I can't really see what I'm doing when I'm looking at you guys. You want to make sure also that you take that down your neck. I've mentioned this before in all my videos. That is such a sure way for anybody to tell. I mean, people are going to tell you have makeup on regardless. Let's just be real. But you definitely want to take that down, especially if you are not sure in regards to the color match. Now, I am using straight up the 228 right now, which is, it looks to be like exactly my match, but I am still going to bronze it up and bring it a little warmth because of the lights. I look a little bit lighter than I really am, so you know, I don't want to be looking pasty like a Casper ghost when I actually step outside. And that's something you also have to be careful with. It's very difficult when you're doing your makeup inside and you're using artificial lighting, no matter how great lighting it is. And then doing your makeup and you're like, I look good, girl. And then you step outside and you're like, I look like I have a mask on, girl. There's like 2 different colors, 3 different colors on your neck. So you always want to make sure, it's a good tip. Once, as you apply your makeup, I go to my window if there's daylight, if I'm lucky enough, and see if I'm blended. So, quick tip. Sometimes, though, you know, depending on what you're doing, I do my makeup sometimes late in the evening, and then I'm just kind of like, oh God, let's hope that when I woke out, everything's gonna match. Oh. Now I am building this foundation, as I said, and especially because I'm using little bits at a time. I like to be very thorough in regards to my foundation application because I find it to be super important. The great thing about the beauty blender is that, or any beauty sponge, is that it allows you to kind of target large areas as you're applying your foundation, as opposed to using like a tiny little, you know, well, no, this is kind of large, but you know what I mean, like a tiny little stipple brush, and then you kind of have to work longer to kind of blend that in. As you guys know, and I've mentioned this and I'm not really going to go into it, I am a beauty blender lover. I'm all about the beauty sponges. So now I do have, because I'm old, I have a creasing right here on my forehead. You can see, because I do a lot of facial expressions. So what I try to do, and a good tip is, if you have mature skin, if you suffer from a lot of like crinkly on your forehead, I really don't try to stay away from that with my foundation. I will, after I've pretty much covered my whole entire face and all the areas that I want to target, I will not pick up any product, but I'll kind of just press the sponge around it so that it gets a little color, just because I do want the color to be uniform, but I don't want so much that it's going to crease. Creases are going to crease regardless. You can use anything. Nothing's going to stop you from creasing, especially if, like, I do this all the time. It's going to crease, but the less product, the less product that it has, I can't speak, hold up. That's because I need some coffee. The least product that you use, the better. It's not going to crease as much. It's not going to be as noticeable. So I try to kind of show a little love to my forehead, but not so crazy enough that I'm going to have that problem. Alrighty. So I have the coverage that I want. I do have a lot of freckles, and I'm going to post a before picture. If you guys have seen, I have quite a lot of freckles, some scarring and things like that, but you can see that there's no redness. Now, no matter what foundation or concealer, nothing is going to change the texture of your skin. When you have breakouts and acne and bumps, the bumps are not going to magically disappear. God, I wish. With makeup, it's not. What it's going to do is conceal the color. It's going to not make it come, you know, look as visible as you want. However, if someone's looking at you like this, they're going to be able to see the ridges and the bumps on your skin. So I figure, you know, some people think sometimes it's like in camera, it's like, oh, you can't see anything. I'm like, girl, if you were right here, you see the little bump right there. You see the sucker. Okay, so now I'm going to go with concealer. And this is my favorite. I have a bunch of concealers, but this is my favorite all-time drugstore concealer. This is no joke concealer. I'm not going for anything light and, you know, airy. I'm looking for something, I need some serious coverage, and this is the one that I love to use. The only thing, once again, is the sponge applicator. It's not the most sanitary if you're using it in other people, so that's the only, I'm like, why? But I'm gonna go with, I have quite a few colors. I'm actually going to go with the light pale color. I actually am out of the light medium, which is generally what I use. So I'm just gonna mix it because I don't want it to be too, I want to highlight. I'm really just highlighting. I don't have a lot of like dark under eye bags. Wow, did that even make sense? I don't suffer from like dark under eye area, like a dark eye. What is happening with me? Let's try it, take 3. I don't suffer from a very dark or pigmented under eye area. So what I'm really doing is concealing a little bit, but it's mostly going to be to highlight. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to take it down the bridge of my nose. I am going to put a little bit here, but not too much. Once again, personally don't want to drag too much product on my forehead. There. And because this is a little too light for my taste at this particular point in time with my skin color, I'm going to go again with the medium to just add a little more. And bloop, I'm taking it very, very deliberate. Now, my sponge, I've been having it clean and sitting here for a little bit while I was figuring out the whole camera situation. So I'm just going to re-wet it a little bit using any kind of water. I'm using the MAC rechargeable water. I bought it a few weeks ago to try it out, and I feel like I need to find a use for it like every day for what it costs, because not that I'm not willing to drop crazy amounts of money on makeup, clearly evidently shown, but you know what I mean. It's like, girl, it's just water. So I am going to go ahead and now I'm going to blend this in, and you want to be gentle. And the great thing about it, once again, using sponge is that, it blends it like nothing. And it's the sponge. It's really the sponge. It just pouncing it, pouncing it. And once again, I'm not pulling it too high up just yet because I want most of the product to disperse throughout the rest of my face before I go ahead and kind of finalize that area. So I'm gonna put a little bit on my eyes. I don't generally have either any kind of like skin color, meaning like red or pink lids, but I always want to put a little of this particular concealer anyways. It's not always sometimes the best to put concealer on your eyelids if you're going to do eyeshadows, because concealer is not really meant to be a base. Some people use it and it's, you know, but I personally don't. That's what an eye primer for, girl. Okay, so that's done. Now I'm going to go ahead and set it. I have my favorite powder concoction, which I mix my banana powder and my Chatty Airspun, where is it? Extra coverage translucent powder, which is like the best setting powder I've ever had in my life. I don't mind the smell because I enjoy the floral smell, and it's one of the I can't even tell. So I'm gonna use my same sponge, and I'm going to tap it on, and I'm gonna set my under eye area first. Setting that area is definitely going to help with minimizing creasing, but once again, creases are gonna happen. All right, let's just. I always get a tickle when I look at videos and people are like, oh, it's not going to crease. This foundation will not. It's going to crease. Maybe not as bad as some others, but it's gonna crease. Let's keep it honest. Now, I start first under my eyes, right on my nose, right up here and here. Now, because I have combination skin, this is my area where, if anything, throughout the days when my oils start kind of like peeking through. Now, because this is a full coverage foundation routine, you have to set your foundation with powder. You have to. You want your foundation to last. You want your foundation to not shift, not move, not go anywhere. You need to set that foundation. So I started in the areas that I want, and then I go everywhere else. My face is getting this everywhere. And it's the best way to use some kind of flat sponge or a powder puff, whichever you want, because you want every centimeter of your skin to get that setting powder on. This is what's gonna help with also with transference, which is really important, because, you know, girl, I ain't about that rub off life. When I hug you, I don't want half of my face to end up on your shirt. You know what I mean? Okay, so I have it everywhere. Don't forget down your neck. Now, there's different ways in which you can do your makeup. Some people start their eyes first, some people their face first, some people blah, your eyebrows first. I don't know. Whichever way you want to do it. I generally, depending on my mood, I go whichever way I want. So today I'm going to do my face first. So let's do that. Okay, my next step is contouring. For me, it's super important. I have high cheekbones, but I also have a round face. So I want to make sure that I give some definition to my skin. Once you put on foundation and you powder on your face and you end up looking flat and even everywhere, this is the point where you want to bring back warmth to your skin. You want to bring back definition to your skin. That's why contouring, bronzing, blush, that's what that's going to do. Then highlighting everything. It's all about visual effects of the skin, honestly. It's magic. Anyway. Okay, so I'm going to go with my bronzer. I am a bronzer whore, like, no joke. I have a gazillion bronzers because I have an addiction that I can't stop. So depending on my skin, I just go with whatever. I'm kind of using right now the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzer. We're going to go, it's a matte bronzer, which is what I really enjoy when I'm contouring. We're talking contouring and bronzing are two separate things. It depends on what visual, like I said, what visual result you want to give to your skin. When I'm contouring, I always go with a matte bronzer. Start it off. If I want to warm my skin and bring warmth, which I will do as well, then I go with a bronzer, which could have shimmer or some kind of iridescent, luminescent finish to it, satin finish to it. So I'm gonna go with this Real Techniques buffing brush, which once again I have a gazillion brushes to do this too. Honestly, I enjoy because even though it's kind of round and voluminous, the tip, it kind of allows it to go right here. Yeah, you see that? So I always start right here close to my hairline, and I kind of work my way up. I want the darkest part of this contour to be here, and then it kind of slowly fade out. That's what's gonna make it look as natural as possible. So let's do that. Now, like I said, keep in mind, I have 2 huge box lights on me. So what you see while I'm recording, it might not be what it's going to look in the end result, obviously. So let's do this. Now, I like to target different areas. I go under my chin here, trying to shade that double chin out to phase that out and give definition to my chin. I do this area as well. I actually then sweep it all along my temples. And I like to actually, not picking up any more product, but I kind of like to blend it down my neck as well to kind of have uniformity. I don't, it depends on what kind of look you want. I do, contour is contour, and it's going to be, it could be harsh, it could be natural. I want you to, so that when I turn, I want you to see this, but I don't want just a stripe, stripe, stripe. I like to kind of tie it all together and blend. And as I mentioned before, if I haven't, pretty much 80% of your makeup application, if you are doing it right, if you're not sitting on your table blending away and getting carpal tunnel syndrome, you're not doing it right. Okay? So it's all about blending that in, girl. So I'm going to go and do the other side. And actually, I want you to notice, see? I'm going to turn this way. You see how that looks? And then I'm going to go this way. Nada. It's so bland. I mean, the whole point of foundation, think about painting a room. When you first prime a room, you want color to just start off with one base. One base. That's your foundation. It's your base color. Then you want to bring in something a little bit more. When you have, like here, you can see my cheekbones. You can see everything here is just kind of bland. Contouring will change your life. I know it definitely changed mine, and it's honestly my favorite thing to do to myself. It just, it gives me life. It gives me life. Now, you have to be cautious when you're using powder, so you're buffing product in. You don't want to scrape the product on your skin. You just applied a few layers of foundation. You got your powder on. You don't want to move that product. You want to move it and blend it, but you don't want to scrape the product and like shift the product. Does that make sense? So you want to be gentle. I'm not doing this. I'm doing softly. It's the tips of the bristles is what's allowing me to buff that product in. Now I have a big forehead. Thanks, Mom. So I like to add shadow here so that when you look, this area is what's visible. As you can tell, you see that's the whole point of contour, is provides a shadow so that certain areas of your face peek through are more visible than others, while others kind of retract. So I don't know. Now, like I said, I'm actually going to pick up a little product and do it on my ears. I am such a sticker for this. Make sure your ears match the rest of your body, girl. So now I'm doing this. I'm not even like swirling product. I just tap to pick up a tiny bit and then just blend that down. Now, powdering your skin doing contour with powders tends to be faster and easier to do on an everyday basis. I enjoy this. If I'm doing it like now, I'm going to do it powder. It's the best way, the easiest way to just get it done. Whenever you're going to an event, if I go to an event, I know there's going to be night photography, then generally I'll try to cream contour or liquid contour and tap under my powder contour, because what that's going to do with photography is going to help when the flash hits your face. It's not just going to be, you're not going to get lost. The powder, the colors are not going to get lost with the light. And that's something you have to consider when you're doing makeup for photography. Makeup, like right now, these boxes are lighting me out. It's completely different than if you're just against the window taking a picture of your face. You're like, hey girl, it's a different thing. So, things to consider. Now, I'm going to go a little more deep here. Simply because, once again, I'm very conscious about the fact that these lights are brightening me out, and I want to make sure that when I'm out there, you can actually tell I have some mad. Now let's do that nose, girl. I'm going to go with the same brush. I'm just, beep, and I'm going to go here. I have a wide nose here. You see that? You see how that already like started shaping it? I do have a smaller brush that I use for my nose. Honestly, I should have just taken that out. But it's really not that serious because I'm going to blend it to the edge so much anyway that you're not even going to really... So I have this any little brush. And I don't just take it, I take it down here. And I'm going to target the little tips. And I started off from up here, which honestly is gonna... So I want you to see this side, how it looks. You see that shadow? And then nothing. So this already has given shape to my nose. Straighten that little mofo out a little bit. I'm gonna go up with my big fluffy brush because it isn't that serious. I want it to be natural. I'm not trying to go too crazy with it. And I'm gonna go with this just to target it out and blend it out. I find that starting from your brow down, it gives more definition. It really, you see that? Yeah, you see that. And I just do the tip. Just the tip. And you want to blend. There we go. Perfect. That's all I really want. Okay, so now I'm gonna go with some blush, and because I am going to, I'm gonna hold up. Here you go. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. All right. What kind of blush? What kind of blush? These are my Milani Baked bronze blushes. Pardon. I love these. Like, I love these. I have a lot of others too, but these are the ones that I continuously keep going to. Like, yes. So we're gonna grab a little, and I'm just kind of gonna go throw that in, and I'm gonna hit the apples of my cheeks. They have this beautiful, like, luminescent finish to them. It's just, I love them. They can definitely pack in a punch, so you have to kind of be conscious about what you're doing. Now, what I like to do in regards to blush, it depends on also on the shape of your face, how you apply blush, because once again, I'm trying to pull my skin up to kind of complement that beautiful contour that I've done. So I'm bringing it up. That way, it brings up my face as well. So I'm just gonna go boop, 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 boop. Tap that in, and smile. You can smile. You see? A lot of people ask me why I don't smile when I do my photos, and I'm going to tell you why I don't smile. The same reason Victoria Beckham doesn't smile, because of this. Check this out. You see that? You see how... That's why I don't smile. Oh, I thought it was hilarious. I just don't. So I'm just kind of... blending that in a little bit. I'm going to apply a little bit more because alrighty. You see that? And it goes right on top of your contour as you blend it out. Let me put a little bit on my nose just because I can. Now I'm going to highlight my skin. I've talked about this. I've shown this. My Wet n Wild Fergie highlighter in Hollywood Boulevard, which is my favorite. I have my MAC Soft and Gentle somewhere over there. And I have also Hard Candy Sticky, which is also one of my favorites. It's Hard Candy Sticky is kind of like a white highlight. This is more of a golden tone. And I believe MAC's Soft and Gentle, it's an in-between, but I kind of love this. It kind of I love the golden finish of it because it complements kind of like a bronzy tan skin. So you know what, I vary depending on the look. That's really what the truth is, but this is like my favorite. So I'm gonna go with a little brush, which is from Real Techniques, something or other brush, and I'm gonna go on hit it right at the points where I want the highlight to hit. I've mentioned this before. Anywhere you're going to put a highlight, anywhere you're going to put shimmer of some sort, if you have large pores like I do, just know you're going to have to deal with the fact that pores do appear larger, or it brings highlight or anything shimmer on them, makes them appear larger or more visible than you would like. But I like to shine like a diamond, so that's just something I gotta live with. So I'm gonna go here, and I generally, depending on my mood, I take it either from here all the way up or just on the top of my cheekbones, and I take it up here right to half of my eyebrow, because what I want is when the light hits this area, this is the light, the area that's gonna light up when the light hits it. So I'm being very gentle with it. I'm about to go in. I just blend that in, and this goes kind of like, it goes contour, blush, highlight. Oh, you see that? Oh, baby, angels are singing right now. So we're gonna do the same here. Now the majority of my large pores are right here, like here to here. So I try to not pull it there sometimes, but sometimes I go a little crazy and I'm like, I want it everywhere. So that's how your mood is. And I take it right here. I'm gonna go right at the tip of my nose, and you can take it all the way to the bridge. I kind of just leave it at the tip, sometimes just drag it up a little bit. Top of your lips, yeah, my chin, and sometimes I don't pick up any more product. Lightly, I just dust a little bit here. Because I didn't go ahead and crazily highlight with my concealer this area because of what I mentioned before, I didn't want extra product on my forehead. I kind of use the highlighter as a little bit as an extra something to provide light to that area. So, you see that? Now, I could have put on some bronzer. I personally don't. I feel like the contour right now is enough for me at this point. But if you wanted to have thrown out bronzer of any kind, you would have contoured, done your bronzer, then your blush, and then your highlight. Once again, you do it however you want to. That's how I generally do it. Okay, this is the important part. Once again, skin prep is super important. You don't always have to use a primer, but use something on your skin. Make sure that your regimen is super important to the longevity of your makeup. It really is. Look it up, Google it. Okay, so the step that I do, this is where stuff gets real. So prep, setting your foundation everywhere. Now, yes, some people suffer from really, really dry skin, and that can be a problem. And makeup application is going to vary, like I said, depending on the kind of skin that you have. So you might feel like, oh, I don't want to powder my whole entire face because I have dry skin and everything's going to heal and everything like that. I understand. But we're talking longevity. Sadly, you cannot, if you want your foundation to not move, not shift, not transfer, this is what you're going to add it to. All right. So now I'm going to go with a setting spray, which once again, setting spray, finishing spray, two different things. So this is a setting spray. This will not make my foundation stay longer. It will not, okay? It will not. But what it will do is it's going to kind of bond my foundation to my powder and make it kind of like allow the powder to melt into my skin so they become one. And that's what I need this for. And this is a super important step. So I'm going to spray this on my face. I'm going to let that dry everywhere. I'm going to let that sit for a second. I want it to set. And the next step is I'm going to do my brows and my eyeshadow. Put on some lashes, and I should be back. But this is pretty much it. I mean, this is like a full coverage. So I'm going to pause. I'm going to go ahead and do those things. Or should I continue the video? You know what? Let's do it. Yes, let's do a part 2. All right, I'll do my eyebrows and my eyes next. Wish me luck. Now, like I said, P.S. I will be using a finishing spray, which I use my Scandinavia. This is the best-ish I've ever tried. If you are a fan of the Urban Decay All-Nighter Spray, this is who makes it. I've mentioned this before, but I buy this. I love it. So this will be the final spray. Once my whole entire makeup is done, at the end, this is the last step I do before I walk out the door. So we're going to hold off on this when I come back, and you will see that happen. So now I've set my powder on my thing, and we're going to move on to the next thing. So yeah.